Welcome, deck members. Thank you for making room in your schedule on the third Saturday this month rather than the second. The trio was in Vancouver, Canada last week as a preview of where the International Convention will be held in August. I can report that Vancouver is cold and wet, but going through customs northward was surprisingly painless. The scariest thing was seeing the thermometer set to 20 degrees in my hotel room. And I finally got to try a Tim Hortons donut. I think Dunkin' Donuts from the East Coast will still wins out. Sorry if there are any Canadians in the office, but I'll take a Timmy over a Krispy Kreme any day. This month's theme is Your Leadership Legacy, and it may be January, but time goes by pretty quick. And 1 second here. For those of you who have been president and VPEs and are familiar with the business meeting, I have news for you. You get to go to 2 meetings this year. One of them is to close down District 57's business, and one of them is to vote on who is running Districts 205 and 206 next year. I'll talk more about the actual meeting for District District office on the next slide, but the most important thing to know is that whichever district your club will be in next year is the one that your club belongs to. We have a whole list of who's going where as of a few months ago, and I don't think that list has changed. But when it comes closer to the voting time, your president and VP will get direction to the correct meeting. The current trio's job and the finance manager's job is to do the business half, the budget reporting, and final reports for the year. But the rest of it are being handled by the transition committee, which is Ed Cullen, Greg Scott, Michael Oser, and Zach Souza, among other folks. Please note that Zach's name is spelled wrong on the website, and in the email, we'll be fixing that. This past week, we put out an email and also a page on the website for candidates for the new Districts 205 and 206. The deadline for applications is February 8th to file your paperwork. We need people to run for positions in leadership so we have a functioning district. And if you've been appreciating the work that the trio, the PRM team, and your division and area directors have been doing this year, now's a good time to move up a level and continue to support the things that we do as a district. However, there are some special rules this year that overrule some of the stuff that we are expecting. First and foremost, there's a restriction on remote leaders, and the only 2 spots that can be occupied by fully remote leaders, that's anyone who doesn't physically live in the Alameda County area or can drive on a regular basis, are the program quality director and the club growth director. I know that we as a district voted to allow remote leaders up and down the slate, and I was hoping to give our hardworking area directors from Sri Lanka and New York an equal opportunity to run for their division director for next year, but this is what we got from the higher-ups in world headquarters, and we can't appeal at this time that we know about. We can vote on it again next year, and the normal bylaws that allow for voting for any level will hold. So whoever wins the election, keep that in mind. Second, you'll be running in the district that your home club belongs to. For instance, my club is the Division A, which is 205. So I can't vote or run for a 206 district position next year. If I join a 206 club today, I'd be able to run, but you can only run in one district. My advice to you is that if you want to take a look at a map and decide what that's the territory you want to cover, run there. So if you belong to multiple clubs, pick one side or another. I think this also means that if you're a president or a VP in both districts, you get to vote in both, but you can still only run in one. Ed, I saw you in the audience. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so if you have multiple clubs, you get to vote multiple times and attend 3 meetings instead of 2. Good, lucky you. And in reality is that if you are a voting member, again, that's the president and VP of your club, please, please, please show up to vote, because both of those meetings require, all 3 meetings require quorum. And if you remember this from back in September, we got to do that again. So if you're running for division director, make sure you're running for a division that you can drive to. Area directors, I think, can still be remote because they're appointed, but division directors and the district director are explicitly included and must be local. Off the record, even though I'm being recorded, I don't like it, and that's not what we voted for, but we'll do what we got to do and hope for next year. Now, let's talk about one level up. Those of you who are interested in how World Headquarters runs, they've streamlined the process for region advisors, international directors, and international presidents. You won't see campaign emails or calls for interviews. Instead, there'll be a leveled playing field that the candidate's corner will be recorded videos so that floor candidates get equal consideration as a candidate that goes through the full nomination process. The 2-hour candidate showcase is also going away, and this is being replaced by pre-recorded videos, as I mentioned, although each candidate will still get their 2 minutes at the business meeting in August, and a meet and greet during the convention as well for up to 2 hours. It means go to Vancouver, talk to the candidates if you want to, but if you are folks who are interested in higher level voting and voting for real instead of giving the proxy to the trio, that's where you find the information this year. Again, this part only matters to people who want to vote who lives outside the district, and I hope you'll explore this on your own. But you'd only get to the region advisor level and above if you've gone through all 3 of the trio positions first. Next, last thing I'm going to talk about are the mid-year training updates to pathways. There really isn't anything new, but I have to ask, how many of you have actually noticed the new requirements taking on meeting roles and giving extra speech projects from the competent leadership, competent or successful club, and the camera top of my head, but I'll write it down somewhere. These were old advanced manuals, and these are new requirements in order to complete your level 3, 4, and 5. These are things you have to do now for any level you haven't completed yet. If you completed a level already, you can ignore those, but for new levels, including the one you're currently on, these are now required to finish that level. For those of you like me who have been sitting on your last level 5 speech, it made the runway a little bit longer. As accordingly, we have extended the deadline to get your end of year Club Excellence Award out to the end of February, so you have more time to finish those extra requirements. Also, if you haven't heard of these things, that's what the Pathways Roadshow is for. We do a slight deep dive into what the changes are and how they impact you more than I'm going to talk about here. The next Pathways Roadshow is this coming Tuesday, the 20th of January, or Capital Speakers is hosting us on the 21st. We can also bring this to your club if you'd like. So again, there we go. If you are doing work on 3, 4, and 5, you have to get project from the Better Leader, Speaker, or Club Excellence series. These are all doable things. It just makes getting these levels a bit harder and take a little longer than before. And if you're waiting for the rebooted version of the Competent Communicator Manual they promised us, they didn't have any new news for us. It might be sometime this year, so expect it may be in October again, but that's a wild guess on my part. And with that being said, I'm going to move on to the main part of this presentation for me today, is that the theme for this month is Release Your Legacy. For those of you who are area directors especially, the basis of your legacy are the area visit reports. I want to talk about some best practices as you do round 2. I know some of you already have sent in reports. I've been reading them, and you may want to do some of them again, potentially, depending on what you hear today. So, the worst reports we got were ones that had absolutely nothing. No detail. There was a lot of blank space and a rating, but those don't tell us anything from what we already knew, which is the club title and how many members they have. To wit, if I've read your reports and got to the end and, well, I knew about as much as when I started, that's not a good report. And you know who you are. And I know who you are because I've been going through the reports. I'd like to humbly ask you to do better for round 2. The reason behind this, there's over 100 clubs. The trio can't visit all 100 of them in a year, and we're not even going to try. When I was Division A director, I managed to make it to 21 out of 22 of my clubs, plus a few of the Division D and E clubs and a C club because I went to an open house. But for the most part, we're relying on the clubs that you visit and the reports that you write to tell us how things are going for that club. Some of our powerhouse clubs are struggling this year. Some of our struggling clubs have experienced new life. We only know this if you tell us. You are our eyes and ears here. We need you to be more than just your eyes in telling us what you see. We also need to know what you think. The report is like writing a Yelp review for the club for someone who's been there more recently, because you started out as a stranger to the club, And that review is how we get a sense of what a guest would experience at the club. Perhaps most importantly, you're our voice. About 40 of the clubs out there don't even bother reading the emails that we've been sending, but they might read one coming from you. And if you know these people and you happen to be shopping in that day, you could let them know stuff's going on out there. Please pay attention. So it's our job to make sure that between the bunch of us, clubs are informed. So you're a voice as well. And we've had a few clubs that said, wait a minute, we can't be distinguished because we didn't file a club success plan. And we said, yes, I'm sorry. You were told by email months ago. We had people calling months ago. But this still happened. And hopefully we can fix things going forward as much as possible. Division directors, you should also be reading those reports for your people, because that's how you know how to take action regarding the clubs. If I were to talk to you about which clubs were clubs that I could count on to impress a visiting region advisor with an open house, could you tell me? And I'm going to put Daniel on the spot since I know he's here. Daniel, who's the best club in your division?
While all my clubs are great, I've
Good
visited a
answer.
bunch of them. I'd say the most impressive club, the club that makes the best first impression, is FAT Toastmasters.
Okay, so we should send them to FAT Toastmasters. Got it.
Yes.
All right. One of the most vital aspects of being an area or region vector is to do something meaningful with your report. In theory and in practice, and the club is reading those reports when you send them. It's not so much an inspection as an impression. Later on, uh, later on, you'll hear Tyree Johnson revisit the Moments of Truth project and best practices for it. And the first category is first impressions. So what you write is important, not just because of what you saw, but also what you thought about what you saw. Any club, no matter how big or how small, has the capability to be great. As a district officer, we hope you could be an inspiration and an example of what to do in a positive way. I should not be getting upset phone calls about how the area director made them feel ambushed or threatened. Treat the report as if it were a written speech evaluation. What you observed, how you feel, and what you liked best, that sort of thing. But be open and honest about what you saw. But also, if you see problems that need to be addressed, please don't gloss them over. We had a few reports where the club had a serious attendance problem, but still got far exceeds expectations. While we want you to be nice, we also need you to be honest. We need to know the clubs that need help so we can offer help. But especially if a club impresses you, let them know. Words of honest praise go a heck of a long way. If you're going to visit a club, make sure that you offer to fill an empty role if they need you. At one point when I was an area director, we had a club that had 3 active members, and every meeting I had a role. If one of the clubs I'm coaching right now, well, the club I'm coaching right now, asked me to show up as the division director to help bolster their attendance, and I've never left. I'm their coach now. But for the rest of this year, you and the division director are the direct help. The trio are your backup, and yes, I will back you up. I love helping clubs. Don't hesitate to call. Daniel doesn't, and the Division T squad mails me quite a bit. The trio are a resource for you so you can be our people on the ground. Last slide. When a club is struggling, there's 2 mindsets on how to advise. Remember that our goal is a learning organization is develop people. When we develop people, we develop a whole club. It can be very tempting to tell people, start over, or find another club to be in. But to a lot of people, their first club, we call it our home club for a reason. So this is my opinion and my feeling. The first thing we should say are the comments, in the comments, where we develop the club and we try to grow it whenever we can. Remember that we all can also repurpose a club as long as we have at least 3 paid members left. So how small is too small? I once helped a club come back from the dead that only had 3 active members. They're still going strong 12 years later and are on pace to be distinguished this year. And if you doubt me on that, that club's my home club because we moved up to Fremont and we lost most of the club. And we could have closed the club down, but we didn't. And if we had, I would be talking to you today. And that is my presentation for today. I'm going to stop sharing, or rather not stop sharing, and let's bring on Maureen.
Hi. All right. Can you advance the slide for me, Jeff?
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Go back to the first, well, are we on the first slide or did you
Yes, this is
skip?
the first slide for you.
Okay, thank you. Well, first I want to talk about club officer training. For TLI attendees, credit has been given to those who signed the attendance form. TLI attendees from the breakout room screenshots are actually complete, and I didn't get a chance to update it. I finished it this morning, so that has been completed. I'm working with the PQDs from all of the other districts surrounding us to ensure that all attendees get the credit they deserve. If you attend training in another district, let them know you are from District 57. Give them your name, your club name or club number, your club officer role, and when you attended. What will happen is that PQD from that district will send an email to me and say, hey, Maureen, nice to talk to you again. We had such and such list of people attend our training. And that's how we share our information. Next slide, please. As of today, and literally as of 15, 20 minutes ago, I have 146 officers trained in our district, which is actually not bad from our TLI and a handful of trainings outside of District 57. Officers, if you're still looking for getting more officers trained, check the link that I have here, and we have had this sent out in our newsletter, I believe, Jeff, and we'll probably send it out again. Round 2 in all districts is on a link from District 21. Their PQD, Melody, took the time to find all of the makeup training sessions all over the world, all districts, and there's a lot. So if you are outside of District 57, outside our time zone, you have the option of finding training in your time zone very easily. And we will put the link in the chat. Thank you so much. I will do that when I'm finished with my presentation. And finally, our last slide from me. Jeff.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Spring conference to celebrate District 57, our long and amazing history. The date is Saturday, May 16th, 2026. We will be having our last conference as District 57 at the Doubletree in Sonoma Wine Country, which is in Rohnert Park. We want to make our last conference as memorable as humanly possible. For that, we need a nice big team of volunteers to make this happen. Thank you, Jeff. If you are interested, let me know, and I will forward your name to our co-conference chairs, Tiffany Don Jones and Charles Heron. Lastly, I do want to mention to you that we are working with District 4 that part of our clubs are merging with, along with District 39, to try to come up with our history. And District 4, as some of you may not know, was our original district before District 57 was created. So what we're trying to do is get a group of historians, so to speak, to help make a memorable book, memorable slogans, everything we need. So if you have a lot of our history from our district, like Ed Cullen and some others, please contact us, let me know, and we want to make this as amazing as possible. Thank you. Back to you, Jeff.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm going to stop sharing and hand things over to Distinguished Toastmaster Tyree Johnson for covering Moments of Truth. Thank you again for covering this for us. And you're muted, sir.
And let me.
There you go.
All right. All right. Good morning, everyone.
You're in presenter mode. Is that okay?
Yes.
Or whether you're in slideshow mode.
Think. There we go.
There you go. That works.
All right. I take it because we're here at DECM that everyone here is in leadership, either as an area or division director, but you could possibly be just a club officer. Moments of Truth is to be administered at the club level, but for you, division and area directors, you should be familiar with a lot of this information because they are all checkpoints on your area director report, Form 1471. But this is how we want all of our clubs to reflect on not just their performance and where they're at, but this gives them a roadmap to improving and growing into all the goals in the DCP, Distinguished Club Program. So what is Moments of Truth? It's defined as an episode in which a person, and I would say a group of people, come in contact with any aspect of a Toastmasters experience and forms an impression and opinion of the club's quality and service. That service should be one in which it is enhancing their ability to communicate and to start moving toward greater self-assessment and critical thinking. Moments of Truth is broken down into the following 6 categories. And again, later on, I'll just quickly throw up the area director's report. Number 1, first impressions. And we'll go through the list of items that come with first impressions. Number 2, membership orientation. And let me say this very briefly. I've been in Toastmasters, I was sharing with Daniel earlier, for 25 years, coming this March. And I can tell you that there is just a very small percentage of clubs that give an orientation to their new members. When we look at this, I'm going to ask you as area and division directors to look at your clubs, help them develop orientation programs, something that can be simple, but it's a standard across the board. And when we get into the details, you'll see why it's necessary. Fellowship, variety, and communication is the next item that we'll look at. Program planning and meeting organization, membership strength. Again, I think membership strength and membership orientation go hand in hand. And then last, but certainly not least, achievement recognition. When we come to achievement recognition, and we'll go deeper into it, but just on the surface, this is what can be the linchpin in both acquiring new members and retaining your members. A lot of people don't get recognition for the things that they do or the ideas that they share or anything else in the marketplace, in their social lives, in their family lives, in their professional lives. Toastmasters can be the place where, 1, they get acknowledged, and 2, understand the process that can uplift them in any organization they belong to. So first impressions. I think this spells it out pretty easily. Guests are greeted warmly by both the officers and the members. It's interesting, this is a bit dated to say you have a guest book. I think everyone should have a virtual guest book, along with, if you're meeting in hybrid. You should always make sure that the guests leave their contact information with you, and that you have a periodic, I wouldn't say weekly, but at least a periodic contact point with them monthly. Again, make sure the room is professionally arranged. That's certainly if you're in a hybrid setting. But what really makes a difference now is a lot of our clubs, and just like this meeting, is in the virtual world. Check your tech. That's what I call it. Check your tech. Jeff does a wonderful job for this, and I know with contest season coming up, checking your tech will make the difference between people seeing that the operation is running smoothly or it's a crash show. Invite your guests to address the meeting. And please, I know a lot of us are in meetings in which we're really familiar with each other and the like, and we're overjoyed to have guests, and yet we fail to listen to them and give them a chance to speak. So anytime you have guests, whether they were invited or just happen to show up, put in some time for them, one, to address the meeting before and after. And I would really make sure your table topic master gives them an opportunity to participate at that point. And always invite your guests to join, not just at the end of the meeting, but that's why your contact is important so you can follow up. Membership orientation. This is the area in which I really believe there's more bang for your buck for every club and every organization. One, have a formal introduction, and this goes back to whether you have a physical pin or not, but just acknowledge that you welcome them and that they are part of an organization that has a promise to uplift all its members and hold everybody accountable. Two, assign a mentor. And a lot of us are in clubs, some of us are experienced, but even new people have this feeling that being a mentor is either a burden or a sense of inadequacy. Believe me, everybody needs a mentor, a sounding board, a work buddy, whatever you want to call it. But even new members can be a mentor. And just call them, if they don't feel like they have all the adequate experience or tools, just say, hey, this is my speech buddy. This is who I can bounce ideas off of. But it really makes a difference to realize people are going through the Toastmaster experience not on their own. Someone is there formally, tangibly, to help them move forward. The education programs and recognition systems should be discussed. I think that speaks for itself. Learning needs are assessed. Again, when you bring in new members and even older members or experienced members, you want to get to that next step. I appreciate Jeff talking about being at level 5. A lot of us get stuck at level 4 and 5, trying to get to that DTM, where it makes a difference having a mentor, having a sounding board. Please implement those kinds of techniques and operations into your club. Everyone should know using Free Toast Host that you can assign members. Be prepared if the assigned member doesn't show up, that someone can step in. And a lot of times we find ourselves doing double duty. It's a stretch for some of us, but it's a growth period as well. Fellowship, variety, and communication. My experience has been I've rarely heard of anyone being treated coldly or ignored. But I have heard stories from others who've said, I've gone to some Toastmasters meeting and everybody felt as though that they were part of the inside cool kids and the visitors were left on the outside. Guys, you're wearing Toastmasters. We're not that cool. We're struggling to become better communicators. So don't, and if you're reluctant to reach out to someone else, look for somebody else to kind of join you and invite these new people in, people who may be shy or reluctant to speak. But we're not too good and we're not that accomplished enough to treat people coldly and think that we're above and beyond that. And I think a lot of times that's not always the case, that it happens intentionally. Sometimes we're shy and insecure, not feeling our best ourselves. But just realize this person took one courageous step to come to your meeting, to see what it was like, and hopefully it's a place where they can improve and not feel like it was a waste of time and these people didn't care. I know a lot of clubs do schedule social events and open houses. I would just make sure that those are planned ahead of time and executed to the best of your ability. If the things don't come together on the date plan, make sure you do a quality date, a quality operation. So if don't force it just because you plan that time. If something is awry, make sure that things are run well. It's best that it's a good, clean, smooth operation and just something that comes together as, again, I always call it an auto crash event. Newsletters make a difference. We haven't had many inter-club events since COVID, but that's an idea to really consider. Program planning and meeting organization. Again, Free Toast Toast gives you the agenda to use. I think most of us in District 57 use that. It's a great way to send out the assignments beforehand and make sure people know what they're doing. Have new members get the orientation so they understand at least their first time what role they're taking on. Say new members should get the orientation to, within their first 3 months, be a general evaluator, be a speech evaluator, and then be a Toastmaster of a meeting. So make sure they're prepared for all those assignments. All projects should be pathways. I won't say any more about that. Use creative table topics. There are a lot of different table topics to do, and seeing that District 57's contest will be the international speech contest, and the second one will be table topics. It'll be really interesting. Quick tip: my go-to if the table topic master doesn't show up, go to a calendar and you'll find out every day is a national day of something. It's the National Day of Ice Cream Tasting. It's the National Kitten Day. It's National Family Day. It's National Blue-Eyed Left-Hand Brothers Day. It's something that is happening every day, and use that as an entree. But there are a lot of different creative table topics to do. A lot of people want to learn how to interview, so use table topics for both interviews and interviewees and interviewers. And this last point, positive, helpful evaluations. That sounds simple in and of itself, but I have to say that speakers and evaluators should collaborate before the meeting. Speakers should ask evaluators to point out things that are not necessarily on the evaluation form that they want to improve on. The other point is this, and I think take this very seriously. Evaluators, ask your speakers, are there any subjects or aspects of their speech you want feedback on that you do not want to have part of the formal public evaluation? If someone may have a speech impediment or something that they feel very uncomfortable and don't need focus on, you don't need to mention that during the club meeting. However, they should know that from your evaluation with them one-on-one. I just say that's how you can truly be helpful. Club strength. I think this goes pretty self-evident. We want all clubs to have 20 members. I say you need to have at least 10 to 12 present to run an adequate, effective, and efficient meeting. We've all been there, probably still doing it, where people are doing double duty. Odd counter and grammarian. Table topics master and the joke master. All of those. You need to encourage people to show up and bring their best effort so that the club looks like a well-functioning organization to newcomers. Switch it up. I know when we met in person, but you could even still do this online. Have different hats that people wear. Do a reverse meeting. Do a meeting in which everybody is doing a group project. There's a lot of different things you can do. And Moments of Truth put this together for people to break out. If you assign it for like the whole month, or at least 3 weeks, each grouping in your club can take on each one of these aspects of Moments of Truth. Last but not least, achievement recognition. As you know, as officers, when your vice president of education submits the education awards, they get recognition from TI. Let the club know. You don't have to always make it a big deal, but I think, and I wish Dennis was here, I really appreciate being in some clubs with Dennis where he makes sure not only the achievements that he's made, but other people have made too in the club. This isn't just a race to the bottom. This is a way for all of us to recognize that our efforts in growth should be acknowledged. And it just isn't an internal engine that powers it. A lot of us need praise, whether you acknowledge it or not. And even if you don't, practice giving praise. So the club and its members should really acknowledge people on their journey to growth. And I think it makes an environment for the club to show that it recognizes people stepping up, and that it becomes a joyful process for everyone involved. So there is a chart, and I'll have to put it in the chat because I'm not going to try and switch up our tech for this. There is a chart that has each one of these aspects on it. Have your club take at least 2 weeks to do Moments of Truth. You can go through it, or have your club go through it as you visit as an area director. You can have them review it as you're actually doing your area report with them, but have them break out and give their reports on ideas on how to grow in each one of these areas. Remember, you never have a second chance to make a first impression. And for all of us to remember, there's a moment of truth that takes place when you least expect it. Be prepared and be joyful in the process.
Thank you, Tyree. And do we have questions for Tyree on running the Moments of Truth? I will take questions, and if not, I certainly have a few myself. But I want to give someone else a chance to speak first. Okay.
Yeah. Daniel.
I love the idea of having a welcome packet or an orientation packet. What do you think we should normally include in it? Because I would love to put together an orientation packet to give people when they join a club. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what we should include in it.
A couple ideas that come to mind that I found are effective. One is a monthly schedule of your meetings, and allow people to sign up at least 3 or 4 weeks in advance. Two is being able to have a setting which they meet with whoever sets up mentors, if it's your VP of education or VP of membership. Those two things will make a big, big difference. There was another idea that I got, and it's slipping my mind. But work on those two.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Next question for Tyree. And in that case, I will ask my question.
Yeah.
So, owing to the fact that level 5 now only limits your choices for one of the requirements to evaluations, mentoring, or moments of truth. I expect we'll see a lot more moments of truth coming out there, but in your opinion, is it better for a club to assign someone to run moments of truth or to wait for someone to volunteer to do it?
No, I would say within the first quarter to ask for a volunteer. But if no one gets steps up, then use the power of being voluntold.
Okay. And the other part of this is that I vaguely remember a number of years back, you might have been one of the person to volunteer to come to a club and run moments of truth. Is that the case, or am I thinking of someone else?
I, I may have done it, but my brain is kind of foggy after COVID. So
Okay, fair. Because the reason why I say this is because as area directors and division directors, you are empowered to run moments
yes,
of truth for any club, even the ones that are not part of your area. And it's one thing to ask the club, when was the last time you ran a moments of truth in as far as the club success plan? It's not to say, would you like a moments of truth run for you? Because for some strange reason, clubs out there are like, I don't want to run one of those things. It takes forever. It takes up a meeting and a lot of excuses. But if you say, if you haven't run one, would you like me to run one for you? Because as an outsider, you get a better impression than most. Just kind of keep that in mind.
yeah, Jeff, that is an excellent idea, and I do recall. I actually got that idea when someone actually came to one of my clubs and did it. We had been doing it internally, and the results were mediocre. But when you have somebody from the outside giving it, I think that gives the club some extra energy and buy-in to prove to this person. It's like, who's this person trying to tell us what to do? Let's show them.
Also, thank you very much for that answer. Also, this was said at mid-year training in front of the region advisor, and so they didn't actually shoot her down, but somebody suggested that if you have trouble running on moments of truth, break it up across multiple meetings. You don't have to do the entire thing all in one go. And if you switch people out, now you can have multiple people getting credit for doing moments of truth for their levels. Is that a safe thing to say, you think?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's what I was recommending. That you can't. It's it's really difficult to do moments of truth as it's currently constructed in one meeting. Certainly, it's hard to do in 1 hour. Spread it out over at least 1 or 2 meetings. You could do yourself a favor if you plan it as you go into a new year, a whole month of moments of truth.
Yeah, and you could arrange like say 5 minutes for your meeting to say here we're covering this section today, and I see in the chat a question that says who should be in the audience doing the moments of truth, just the club leadership or everyone in the meeting? And the answer is everyone because this is your way to either formally, informally, or anonymously poll your club to see what they actually think of how things are running. And why this is important is because you get everyone's input from the club. Then you know how the leadership is doing. And sometimes if someone says, oh, hey, I never thought about this as so we can do as one with the truth as a question, let's implement this thing. I'm interested to know, which is my next question, what would you say is a good interclub event that you remember from the past, Tyree, since you mentioned it?
I did mention it, but I'm reluctant to bring it up in this current environment. There was a time before COVID that we would do joint meetings and bring a potluck and do something of that nature. I haven't been able, to be honest, seeing any interclub event take place in the virtual world, but that's not to say it can't happen. I just think it takes another level of creativity that is escaping my spark right now.
That's all right. Did you know or this is not a you, but do people know that on the outstanding club award chart is a point for a club that shows up and bolsters another club by helping that club out? That this is the kind of thing that I think we're both on the same page without realizing it. Because if you're one of the stronger clubs and you have so many members that it's hard to get a speech slot, or you know of a club that has trouble filling their roles, you can adopt another club and show up for their meetings. And you can encourage your clubs to do that. And if an area director or division director can show up for their clubs and support that club, why not get people from a club that are just ordinary members? We used to have this thing where we would send members to another club just to show up and be there because of different days of the week and be guests at that meeting and vice versa. You get to see how another club runs and you get to see what their best practices are. And there was a challenge where you could steal their club banner and they had to visit your club to get it back. Don't know how you do that virtually, but we can figure something out. All right. I see also in the chat, Lisa Thompson says, we invited a phenomenal Toastmaster from India to come do ours. He did a 10-minute questionnaire and then showed a bar graph for each question to see which areas needed attention. That's a good idea. Lisa, if you could perhaps send me the contact information for that person, we can add a mini article in this upcoming newsletter to say, would you like someone to do Moments of Truth? We have someone who does this as a questionnaire form, and I believe it was North Bay Speechmasters ran theirs as a Jeopardy style gamified version of this. So there are ideas out there to make it interesting and fun. Whatever you want to do is what you do. All right, last questions for Tyree. Going once, going twice. Okay. Let's go ahead and get back to the meeting itself. And Dennis Dawson had to attend work things today for his day job. And apparently he is teaching debate to future leaders. But he sent a message ahead of time. And so hopefully this works. Let's see, do this.
Happy New Year, everyone. Mid-year training gave me a chance to reflect and remember why I set outrageous goals last July. 25 clubs was always aspirational, but necessary if we were to keep District 57 intact. Well, now that ship has sailed. We can scale back our goals and shoot for a net gain of 5 clubs this year. Now, I know not all of you aspire to achieve President's Distinguished status. But I want to hear from those of you who do want to be President's Distinguished and end the year with a net gain of 1 new club. Let's work together with our Club Extension Chair, Deborah Weiner, to build new clubs in your area. It's eminently doable. It just takes a little attention and effort. Now, our primary focus in the second half of this year is to build membership. To amplify our voice, we've signed a contract with Radio Zynga for 3 months of drive-time ads, including 5-minute interviews. We're looking for Southeast Asian spokespeople who can share their Toastmasters journey with others via the radio. If you know a dynamic speaker who has a compelling story about how Toastmasters has changed their life, contact me at dennis@d57tm.org.
And that is probably the shortest speech we'll ever get from Dennis, ever. But essentially, we kind of got read the riot act at mid-year training that since we are currently still at 0 clubs founded for 2025, 2026, we need to do better. And whatever we can do to start a new club to replace the ones we've lost is not just about making the district look good, but bringing the message of Toastmasters and the lessons that we have to new people. And I know it seems really hard to do something like this. And I want to thank the people last year who put together clubs. But every year is a new year, and every year is a year that we can start more clubs, because if we keep losing clubs, we wind up where we are, where we're being combined with another district. And there are people out there who have never heard of Toastmasters. There are people out there who could definitely use Toastmasters, but the only way we start new clubs is to actually give it a shot And it may seem daunting and terrifying, and it was for me last year as club growth director, but we have folks like Ashley and Dennis and Deborah and other people who have started clubs in the past that stand ready to assist. So if you have a club idea or know people who could use a club as a blob of 20 odd people, let us know. We could use the leads, find the leads, and we'll do the rest. And I know there's at least one hot lead out there, and I know Daniel has some club demos that are coming up, which I'll give him a chance to talk about in a little bit. But let's get back on track here. Let's see, and here we go. Okay, so Hans or Lisa, who is giving your part of the presentation?
I am.
Yeah, all right, please welcome Hans.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And this is Hans Thoma here with another public relations update. You all know what public relations means in the context of District 57. It means getting the word out to you. So I want to take a moment to remind you how we do that. We take pride in creating our electronic communications, and we want to make sure that you saw them. One of them comes from Jeff. It comes out every week or two. And here on this slide is an example of what the latest one looks like. It came out on January 12th, and there is the subject and the sender. So I encourage you to reach out and check your inbox if you haven't seen that. Next slide, please.
Actually, pausing for a second. The goal here is that if there are news things like upcoming dates in the next week or two, or something that needs to be announced, I'm taking input for any given week Monday evening by midnight to go out roughly Wednesday, unless it runs into a problem with the monthly going out at the same time. But pretty much, if it's coming from me, it means that there's something in there that's relevant to you. I'm trying to keep it as relevant as possible. And as always, if you get mail from me that's asked to get Apple gift cards, it's not me. Never, ever, ever buy gift cards if I or the trio asks you for it. All right, don't forget that. All right, next slide. Thank you for the interruption.
All right, thank you, Jeff. We also distribute a monthly newsletter. And here is an example of what the latest one looks like. It came out on January 8th. Again, it is a monthly vehicle. And there is the subject line and sender. So if you have not opened that or seen that, please check your inbox for those fields. Next slide, please. Oh, actually, it doesn't have the latest deck.
Oh, oops, okay.
Well, you would have to refresh it. I guess it doesn't.
Should I stop sharing?
Yes,
all right.
Please. That would be great.
All you, sir.
I will share myself. So hold on. Here we go. And oh, here it is. Sorry, but thank you for your patience. And here we go. So I want to take a moment. Even though incentives are not my, field, this is normally someone else. But as public relations, we have a vested interest in making sure you're aware of these. Because if you're not, your clubs could be missing out on money that they could use to purchase anything they want. This is district bucks. So look at how easy some of this is. If you add members, 5 members, that's $50, 50 for 5 more. If you pay dues for 8+ members by February 15th, there's more money. What if you complete pathways level? There's some money there. What if you train all of your officers? That's $50. What if you complete all the successful club actions? What if you run any kind of special meeting, whether it's an open house or a guest speaker? Or you can submit 5 pics demonstrating your club's joy, your club's, energy, or you submit 3 club newsletters. So this is money that's out there on the table that you could grab. And there is the list, the URL, the link for the list of those incentives and how you apply for them. All right. So then I will skip to what I was talking about before. As Dennis mentioned, we have a radio campaign coming up, and this is being done with, actually, I'll stop sharing this. And Jeff, if you can go back to your deck.
Of course.
So as Dennis mentioned, District 57 is launching a radio campaign for the purpose of drawing guests into our clubs. And, the purpose of this is we're going to have some rush hour interviews in the months of February, March, and April being conducted in a studio in Fremont. The station is Radio Zindagi, and we're looking for members who are willing to be interviewed by this radio station. You could do this remote or at their studio in Fremont. So do you have a radio voice, or do you know anyone at your club who does? We're starting next month with this. So we're looking for volunteers. We're mentioning this to you, our area directors, because you are our eyes and ears. You have visited your clubs, so you know who might be a good candidate for this. Again, you can do this remotely or by going to the studio, and the interview questions will be given in advance. So think about how fun that is, and think about how you could help our district pull in guests by doing this. Next slide, please. Okay, there is an untapped gold mine in your neighborhood, in your community. It's called the Chamber of Commerce. The vast majority of cities and towns have one. They have tools that could help your clubs promote themselves. For example, they could advertise your clubs in their e-blast. They could put your club meetings on their event calendar. And they could pass out your club's flyers at local festivals. They also host networking events. So we're mentioning this to you because we're looking for area directors who are motivated to establish a relationship with their local chamber. If you have such a motivation, if you want to help your clubs, we will sponsor your membership with that Chamber of Commerce. So I encourage you as area directors to ask your clubs if they will take advantage of this. Ask if they will take an active role in, taking advantage of what the chamber has to offer. If so, please reach out to Jeff, because again, this is an opportunity where the district can sponsor your membership, effectively paying for your membership with your local chamber. And that's another way that your clubs can market them. So please think about that. And back to you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Hans. And one thing about that is that the distinction here is that we have run this as a pilot program through one of our clubs that was Goal Achievers, I believe, that joined the Chamber of Commerce to be part of the Lafayette Honor Wine Festival. But we are trying to pivot this a little bit to be a little bit more cost effective. So you, the area directors, are the ones that will be the primary contact for your area with the Chamber of Commerce. So what you'll do is you'll pull your clubs and say, if we join the Chamber of Commerce for the city that the area belongs to as a group, is your club interested? The district will cover at least 4 or 5. I think we already got one taker. Oh, that's ready. 4 or 5, because it's about $100 to $200 a pop for the Chamber of Commerce for any given cities. And also, if your area as area director overlaps with another area director in the same city, make sure you talk to that other area director, because you might be able to either take a different city that doesn't overlap, or work with that person to basically make sure that you have the participation. Because realistically, this is, as Hans said, an untapped resource we can use because they put out newsletters. The Hayward Chamber of Commerce that I talked to last year, they were willing to give one of our clubs the ability to come in and do a demo in front of a bunch of business leaders. And there's nothing wrong with starting a chapter of a club at the Chamber of Commerce directly. They have space, they have time, they have the contacts. You never know. So it's up to you to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce for your area and your city to see whether they are amenable and available. And I believe we already have a meeting that we're trying to set up with Fremont, I think, because they've heard of Toastmasters already. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, let's move on. And I'm giving the floor to Kate Mills, our contest chair. Please welcome Kate.
Just a sec, I'm coming on. Hi,
And do you
everybody. Hey,
need the PowerPoint slide deck share for yourself, or?
no, I don't need any PowerPoint slides. Thanks. I think we've had plenty today in that arena. Hey, everybody. We're having lots of club contests are coming online. I went to one on Thursday at FAT. It was a fabulous contest. And what I love about the contest training is everybody's making it their own. Some are it's just in person because the club can be hybrid, but most are going in person. And also, they're doing things like briefing just like in the way back days where we used to brief all the contestants and judges just before the contest. And some are briefing ahead, but doing the speaking order draw just before the contest. So it's kind of fun to see how they're making the contest a little bit different and club specific. So that's really great. We had one team in training put together a class for the entire contest team. And that was a lot of fun too, because they could ask a lot of questions and make some decisions there in the meeting. I wanted to share with you here. Let me see. Hold on here. All right. So we're also collectively, we have this kind of a fun tool that people are using. And it's a workbook, a contest workbook. We call it the tracker. And the first worksheet in it is a step-by-step, everything you need to get done for your contest, to have a contest. The second worksheet is a whole bunch of resources. It has the rule book, it has the contest kit for international as well as for table topics. You can just click and download all the forms you need. It has scripts, it has tutorials. We have signs to put on your doors and podiums. We have briefing checklists for all the different functionaries. So let's see, we've added some sample emails that you would send out to contestants and tie-breaking judges and ballot counters. So with each class, we're getting some suggestions what would make this tool better. So anyway, I would invite you to training. If you want to have training after this DECM, we can certainly do that. Or if you could just email me, I'll put my email. Actually, the email's right on my background screen there. But get a hold of me and I'll be glad to share these tools and have classes if you need them, your whole contest team, or maybe your area clubs want to get together. They're really they're maybe hour, 15 minutes, we can knock it down. Anyway, we have also in this workbook, we have a spreadsheet. This is why we call it a tracker for all your table topics functionaries, then your contestants and all the things you would need to find out if they are qualified. And of course, table topics, you don't have to be qualified, you just have to be a dues paying member. But we have different ways that you can find out if somebody is qualified to be in the international. See, we have the international functionaries for your contest, your judges, ballot counters, and you can just get it all down here and have it all in one place. The contest chair and the chief judge would be sharing this workbook typically. And then, let's see, the contestants for the international speech. So there's one tracker for clubs, one for area directors, and the area has room for if you're doing a double contest, so that you would have two areas on it. So we like to, let you share this, save it, make it your own, and then you can go ahead and talk with your other area director or your other club officers if you're sharing a club contest as well. So if you would like training, or if you'd like to have access to this tool and some other things, we have an FAQ coming out, very interesting questions coming up in the training classes, and we'd like to share that with everyone. So reach out if you have questions or you want training. I'm more than happy to connect with you. Thank you.
All right. That's all you wanted to say?
Well, we could go on, but
How are we gut feeling? How are we doing? How are you feeling about how conscious are going for this year so far?
I am a little dismayed. I think we had some delay in getting information out, but it would be best if the division heads, like Ray did it, put the division contest on the calendar, and then tell your area directors they need to get their contest done 2 to 3 weeks before the division contest. And then the area directors will tell their clubs, get your contest done 2 weeks before the area contest. And that way, nobody's stressed out running around trying to get briefings done and forms in. It's a smoother contest, gives you a little bit of breathing room. So I think, Ray, if I'm not mistaken, you're the only one that has put a division head that has put your calendar or put the contest on the calendar for District 57. Maureen has been busy. People keep changing their minds. They keep changing their minds. Oh, we wanted it on this day and we're going to change it to that day. So we'll try and work on that, being a little more consistent and getting the information to you and everything that needs to be on it. So it's you only have to deal with it once. But
okay. And I see that you have a call for judges for the in-person Speakers Forum Club contest.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well with that, but I'm just want people to know that if you're attending DECMs, if you're attending club officer training, if you're attending any kind of meeting, this is where you do your, we used to call it horse trading, but you would say, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll volunteer your contest if you volunteer my contest. And this is how we help each other out, because there are some, like Speakers Forum, there's contestants, a lot of contestants in our club. So we really have to reach out to other clubs in the area and other people to help us fill all of our volunteer slots. And we always learn from each other when we attend contests. And, there's many ways to do contests, I'm finding out, and I really enjoy it. And, so yeah, volunteers are always good. And with judges in particular, we're going to be having contests in flu season and potentially bad weather, so there may be delays in traffic. If you do not have a minimum number of judges for your contest, then you have to cancel and reschedule. So I'm a believer in going, having a few more extra judges yeah, and a tiebreaker and a backup tiebreaker judge. You have to have 2 sergeant-at-arms, 2 ballot counters, or you just can't have your contest. So let's not get in that position.
All right, last 2 questions for me. Number 1, are there any contests that are still missing a contest chair? Or are we still?
I can't answer that question. I'm going to have to reach out to the area directors and division directors directly, because I'm not seeing them as many as I had hoped to be on the calendar at this point.
Okay, I will catch up with you this week on that.
Mm-hmm.
And
hey, I'm sorry, Jeff, can I interrupt and have
of course.
Kate and I and you were going back and forth on emails. We've had a few area contests that are basically back to back in the same division, which is awful for the poor division director trying to go to all of them, especially in person. That's a heck of a lot of work. I'm primarily speaking about Ray Gowan. And it's okay for us to have contests on the same day in areas in different divisions. I think it is okay. But if it's the same division, I highly recommend that if it must be on the same day and you're out of time, that you space at least 4 hours in between. You have to give your division director opportunity to get to both contests. It isn't fair to have that person choose one over the other. So we need to be careful on the scheduling. The other division contests, I haven't heard any calendar entries. It's possible that division directors have requested some and that they've gone to spam because they insist on putting flyers in that are non-compliant, which means I will never, ever see your email. It'll go directly to the D57 spam area, which is maintained by Gerlando, not by me. So if you have submitted a division contest and I do not have it, which is everybody but Division C, please reach out to me. You can email me directly at Maureen at PQD. Well, anyway, just email me to one of the emails, but not a calendar entry. I'm thinking that part of the problem could in fact be flyers, and flyers we're having trouble with. I am in the process of creating an article to distribute about what can and cannot be submitted. For now, the best practice is if you have a flyer, send it separately, not on the D57 link. Thank you.
So I just wanted to add in our hold on here. Where is that Sherry thing? Okay. So in our step-by-step thing, we have the link there for the d57tm.org calendar. So if you're going to put when you put your contest in, when you send it to Maureen, use the form that's designed for this purpose. So she doesn't have to go looking for it and asking special questions. It's right here. You just go ahead and use the form that's intended to put something on the D57 calendar. So we have all of these links here for you to get everything you need done for your contest. And I think it'll make everybody's life easier.
Mhm.
And Kate, are you willing to put a link to this spreadsheet in the chat for people to look at? Or are you reserving that for people who show up for training?
Well, there's a lot of stuff in it. So we kind of do a walkthrough of all of these resources and judging and all that. I don't have a problem with it. I would mainly if you were doing how about this? How about people put an email in? So, because the FAQs keep changing, somebody had a question about accommodation, for example, somebody who does not speak, but and they speak through a device. So does that in a tabletop contest, do they get extra time? So all of these questions were getting answered with Toastmasters International, and it's a growing list of interesting questions. So if I have people's emails, I can make sure they get updated with everything.
Okay, I just gave you mine. If you don't have it anyway.
Yeah, but my intent is to share this with everyone.
Okay.
I have one.
I'm just saying.
I have one for the level, one for the area level, and a workbook also for division level. So, if you want all of them, that's great. If you just want the club one, that's okay too.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Kate. And thank you for taking the extra time. All right, home stretch, folks. Last thing I want to talk about today is your leadership legacy, and hopefully people are listening because I will be calling on people to answer questions shortly. The most important question you can ask in your second visit is to ask if anyone in the club is interested in helping out at the district level. From asking for volunteers to help out with your contest to finding your successor for next year. The goal is to make what you do interesting enough and accessible enough and fun-seeming enough that someone else wants to try to lead up next year. Remember, lead up is my theme for the year and my vision. You're past the halfway point on your journey as district officers. So when we get to the final section, I want to ask one question of anyone who will answer. And I was going to make this table topic style and basically ask one question at a time, but I'm going to cheat here and just give you the entire list. And so I'm going to ask people, pick a question off of this list, and I want to know what you think. Because part of the area director and division director experience is to find out how you're doing and what you've been doing. So I'm going to start by going with Charlene. Charlene, you get to go first. Pick a question off the list.
Give me a few seconds. I'll go with, in 2 words, describe your favorite club. The 2 words I would describe my favorite club is approachable and transparent.
Okay.
In my experience visiting 4 of my clubs this year, one of the biggest thing that I learned is when clubs are approachable or when officers are approachable, it makes a big impact with guests coming in to these clubs. And this is also my first time being an area director. I see things from a first time perspective. I don't know. I have not done so in the past. I've not visited any club. This is my first district experience. Coming out and seeing what it feels like to be a guest is a big thing. I see it from the perspective of if I was a completely nobody and I go in there, what would my experience be like? And those two things, being transparent and approachable, are the biggest things that I feel like those two things that were done by the club made such a huge impact for me.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. And can you put the name of the club and the time they meet and the person who we would contact to get an invite to that club in the chat if you would?
Yep, I definitely will.
Because what we're going to do is we're going to actually reach out to those clubs and say, hey, you were name dropped at DECM. We'd like to send you some guests. Thank you very much for that. All right. Do I have a volunteer before I call on somebody next? Thank you for being voluntold to go first, Charlene. Hope, and it sounds like you're having a good time. All right, I am going to call on, let's see, Amanda.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Thanks for
How we
calling
doing?
on me. I'm well, thank you. So I guess I will choose the second to last one, which is who would I pick to run my area next year? And there, I haven't had a chance to ask all the clubs, at least not yet in spring. However, I do have a strong lead, and it's from one of the corporate clubs, and his name is Kevin Slattery. And he has a background in communication. He's participating in the area contest, and he's got an MBA, and he, I think, would be excellent. So he's definitely interested, but certainly I'm going to continue to ask my remaining clubs to see if there's anybody who's interested so that we can cast a wide net.
Mm-hmm. All right, and put that contact information and what club he's in and when they meet in the chat as well. So reach out to them as well. And the important thing about finding next year's leaders is finding people who have a good presence and a good handle on how to run the club they're in. I call them club mechanics, the people who get stuff done, because having people who know how to fix things and how to address problems as they come make great area directors. And I'm not saying that all of you on the call, especially since you showed up today, thank you for that, are not capable and exceptional in your own ways. But we want you to be next year's division directors, and picking your successor helps you get a team that you can work with. Right, Ray? I had the ability or the privilege of meeting with the Division C team in person back a couple months ago. And I like having a good team that works together. So that way, next year's division director inherits a good set of division directors and area directors if we can. Okay, I'm going to go with, let's see, Kurt.
Hi there.
Hello, pick a question.
Okay, so I would like to go with question number two. What's one thing you learned from visiting a club? So many things I learned from visiting clubs as my first time being an area director, and I found it just fascinating to see how every club has its own personality. Some are very into themes, some are very process oriented, some are extremely organized. There are some that just really stood out as far as being just a really outstanding club. But in terms of one thing that I learned from visiting a club, so the thing that really stood out at me as I started writing the reports and then looking back at the spreadsheet that's downloadable from Toastmasters and including all the names of all the members, where they are in their training journey, I was surprised to learn that there are a number of people in even some of the best clubs that have been members for the club for 2, 3, or more years and have yet to complete one Toastmaster level, which I was a bit surprised at because that's just not my personality. Once I jump into something, I want to get going with it. So I reached back out to those clubs and I wrote it up in the report just in terms of, hey, is there something you can do to help encourage these members start on the Toastmasters program and through pathways, right? Start completing some levels because that kind of engagement breeds commitment and it breeds self-confidence and keeps you engaged. Otherwise, you're simply showing up at a club meeting to have a cookie and chat with people. And I don't think that's the intent of Toastmasters, right? I think this is really a skill development tool. And so that was one thing that I really learned is I really want to kind of keep an eye on that and keep encouraging those clubs to take their members from being a member and a spectator into a participant, right? It's not just a spectator sport. So let's get involved in it and continue to grow. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. And basically, go ahead and put that club that needs the extra pathways leaning in there because we can contact them and do the pathways roadshow for them. But also, may I quote you in my article for next month for the you're not there to get a cookie?
Sure. Go
Okay.
ahead.
And you just demonstrated why having that experience and being able to write that stuff in the reports is important. Because when you learn from a club, for good or for bad, you can take those lessons to other clubs. I admit that I have a favorite club from my time as area director that continues to be my favorite club. That is not my own club. And I get invites to their open house all the time, even though I keep moving up in the organization. So make friends and succeed when you find clubs that do really well. Okay, so
Thank you.
I see Somi's turned her camera on. I'm assuming you're volunteering. Somi, what's your question?
Thank you so much, Jeff. Well, I think most of the questions have been already mentioned. Can I repeat another question?
I will allow that since you're volunteering.
Okay. Yeah, all the questions are lovely actually. I was going through it and said, oh, this has been asked, this has been asked. Maybe the first one somebody asked, in 2 words, describe your favorite club. I'll go with that.
Okay.
This is my first time as an area director. A lot of learning going on, still going on. And I feel that maybe I'm dropping balls here and there. Unfortunately, in my area, I don't have too many options. It's by default just one kind of. From the very beginning, they've been very. Yes. I'm assuming all the clubs has to be transparent that way. But the basic fundamental of responding. I'm reaching out for various things. Hey, how are you doing? Or generally Christmas wishes and all that. Let me know how can I help. Unfortunately, they don't respond. That is my again first time area director, and I'm so surprised. Am I doing something wrong? Am I being very pushy, maybe? But this favorite club, by default, they've been consistently from the very beginning, always letting me know when the meeting is going on. Each week, never miss. They are pretty much hybrid meetings, so on an evening time, so I could meet them, connect. Even other clubs also, but very simple things. Welcoming. Other clubs are also welcoming, but they kind of do it very organically. So that is a very, very interesting thing, and I see that this is the way it should be. Why aren't others are trying to learn, or where is the missing link? How can I help? But yes, that is. I feel that it should be normal, but that is not normal. But that's a learning curve, and I feel if others can learn, when we can all grow. But they're very small things, but makes a lot of difference. So that being said, is my favorite club. So yeah.
All right. And what club is that? And put it in the chat if you will, because I'm going to take the log later
Sure.
for that.
Sure, sure.
What club was it that you consider your
It's
favorite?
called, acronym is FAT.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, so that's the second time FAT Toastmasters has been mentioned. So that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
And really, when you hear about clubs that get mentioned, name drop for good or for bad, and even if you're not the area director, consider dropping in. So that being said, I'm going to take one or two more questions, I think, because I want to give some time to the area directors to meet with people and also to give some folks there. So I'm going to uh, pick on Renee.
Hi there.
Hello.
Oh, is my face not? Oh, I didn't open the camera. That kind of would help, huh? Uh, so this feels like I'm gonna boast, but it's actually kind of could be controversial. Uh, a lesson that I taught a Toastmaster who didn't belong to my club. I did a club visit last week, and one of the members had a speech. She did a fabulous job. She had a great message. And she started her speech with, let's see, what did she say? Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, thank you for being here. And then she went into what I thought should have been her opening, which was, how many of you know that there are 682 sets of stairs in San Francisco? And I thought that was really fascinating. After the speech, the club has a form that everyone can fill out to give the speaker feedback. And I think that's a fantastic thing for a club to do. I talked with her afterwards and talked about what my feedback was, which was to start with her attention getter instead of, hello, fellow Toastmasters, thank you for being here. She said that her club, she's been a member for 7 years, and her club has always had that protocol. And I told her that in the international speech contest, when I've seen people win the contest, that is not how they started. And so I explained to her to start with her attention getter, that question about the stairways in San Francisco. And then after she said a sentence or a few sentences, then turn to the Toastmaster and say, thank you, Toastmaster and fellow members or whatever. So she is taking that under consideration. I encouraged her to be a contestant in the upcoming contests. So that's what I taught her. And I wonder if anybody has thoughts on that old tradition of saying, welcome, fellow Toastmasters, etc.
All right, I will give you two pieces of advice from that. Number one is from, I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of our past international contest winners had this to say: you are not in Toastmasters to get good at Toastmasters.
Right.
Your eventual goal is to be good at giving presentations and speeches to people who have never heard of Toastmasters and to knock their socks off. You would never open with thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests there. The back half of this is something I use myself, is that I never end a speech with just thank you for listening or thank you.
Right.
Because you have this opportunity to give a call to action at the end of your speech. Use it well, use it wisely, use it every single time. And you'll find, or that you have found, I'm sure all of you have, when you go to clubs, each of them have their own little traditions that have crept in over the years. And once they start a trend, it becomes ingrained and baked into their procedures. And for example, I know clubs that open their club meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not part of the rule systems. Not everyone does it. And yet I remember somebody complaining that they're not from America. Why do I have to recite the pledge? And I said, these are different clubs and how they do things differently. All clubs are the same in the sense they have the same roles, but how they execute are different. And at the end of the day, the clubs that you want to belong to, or singular, there are multiple, whatever that, are the ones that fit best with who you are and the path that you want to be on. So, again, as always, go ahead and put the club that you attended that you want us to go visit in the chat if you would, and we'll keep it up there, and we'll try to make sure we get there. Because I'm curious to see what you think are your best clubs and the ones that need the most help. All right, we are at 11:47. Last volunteer. I'd like to hear from Ray. Get a division director in on the game here.
Yes, thank you. Taking a look at these questions, club you refer a guest to and why, or area director. I think a club I would refer a guest to and why. And when I look at a club, I think what's Toastmasters about? It's an educational program. It is kind of a social thing, but it's educational to where we want people to grow in their ability to speak and their comfort in speaking. I look at my clubs that I have, and I have 3 clubs that haven't done the club success plan. Those would be very difficult clubs for me to recommend people to. But I look at the clubs that have the club success plan, and then the next thing I want to look for is whether they follow a pathways program such that I can see that their members are being educated and are moving forward. So a requirement for me to recommend a guest to a club is that they are on the pathways. They are interested in educating the members. And I have a number of clubs. You 3 of my clubs, and we have like Ukiah, Lakeport, they do very well. Fountain Grove does good. We have clubs in Santa Rosa, the Santa Rosa Club. We have corporate clubs. There's a Marin County club that I think it's a great club. I would have trouble recommending it, and they're working on it. And their problem, they have 47 or 48 members. It's hard to do a lot of speeches when you have that many members. And they're working at keeping their membership down, which is very good. I think maybe a middle of the road club as far as membership. Petaluma Club, I think, does very good. They're quite organized. Santa Rosa Club is quite organized. But I would recommend it depends on, I think they need to be local to their club. So if you live in Ukiah, and it's a good Ukiah club, I would go there. Santa Rosa, go there. Petaluma, go there. Marin County, a couple of clubs good. So my recommendation, you live in Petaluma especially, Petaluma is a great club. They do a good job of educating their members and involving people. So I would go with that one there. With Petaluma, if I had to pick out one individual club, I have clubs in Napa County too that are quite good. But clubs that are going someplace, clubs that are moving their members along, that's the most important thing for me to refer a guest to a club.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ray. And you have just demonstrated what a division director should be doing. You have a pulse on the what's going on in all of your area clubs through your area directors and also from personal experiences. And so if someone asks you, which clubs should we send a guest to? You have your answer. I do see in the chat that we could have a couple clubs in here that could use some help. Marine Improv and Daybreakers could use people. So keep that in mind. We do have the meetup that has occasional guests that are brought in there. And we are putting the conference this year in your backyards. So let's make the most of it. All right, I'm gonna wrap up here. Thank you so much for everyone who volunteered and got voluntold to answer questions. And I want you to think about what you've done this year so far, the questions that you see on your screen, and how you could bend the curve, if you will, to help your clubs find more members and maybe get some people in the giant clubs to visit the clubs that need help. Because we're all in this together, we're all Toastmasters, and we're not really in competition with each other, except for contests for the most part. And so, one other thing to think about as well is that if you like what you're doing as an area director and you feel you could have used more time, consider volunteering to be an area director again next year. There's no expiration on how many times you can do this. And if you want to try a slightly different area from where you are, that's an option too. So that's all I got for today. And I will turn the floor over to questions for the audience. And I know, Daniel, you had something you wanted to mention as well. So we'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I know everybody here is someone serving in district leadership, or majority of you are. And there's a quaint little initiative that we started in Division A. Last October, we had a club showcase with 8 new club ideas, and it's been a couple of months. We've realized our entire capabilities, what and how many clubs we can sustain demo meetings for effectively. So we have three new club ideas that we are proceeding forward with for demo meetings. These demo meetings will be happening bi-weekly. The 3 club ideas are Once Upon a Speech, which is a club that focuses entirely on storytelling and developing those skills. This club is trying to figure out what their identity is, what makes them special, what a storytelling meeting would look like as opposed to a typical Toastmasters meeting. So if you are interested in being a charter member, we would greatly appreciate your help. Or if you're just able to join us and help us figure out what the identity of the club should be like, we greatly appreciate the help. The second club idea is a fan-based Toastmasters club. If you're a fan of Star Wars, Harry Potter, anime, personally love it. We would greatly appreciate your help. If you have any aspirations for having a meeting themed entirely around a particular cinematic universe or fantasy, some type of fantastic universe that you want to see in a meeting, this is the best place to be. And then our last club is a little bit more exclusive. It's for teachers. It's called the Educators Toastmasters Club. It's their mission statement reads, it's a club for teachers by teachers, and all of these clubs will be meeting on the weekends, most likely in the mornings, and they'll be meeting bi-weekly. So if at all you're interested in helping out one of these clubs, I'm just going to put my email in the chat and you can reach me. We'd be more than happy to get you acquainted with one of the teams and hopefully get those clubs chartered in time by the end of the year. That's all I had to say, Jeff. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you very much, Daniel. And also, George Marshall had suggested that we have a session next DECM from our clubs with the best record on growth. I think that's a really solid idea. George, do you want to say anything else about that? I saw you come off.
Sure. I was just looking at the records for all our clubs, and there's a few of them that are doing phenomenally well on growing their membership. And I suspect they have something they do, whether it's a secret sauce or the right place or good connections, whatever. If we could just have a little session where they could share what they do and how they feel they have done so well on bringing in new members, I think that would be valuable to our other club members, don't you think?
I believe so. And that was going on the agenda because I love that idea. But as the team, area directors, division directors, if you want something talked about at a future DECA meeting, please let me know. Because as you can tell, we kind of tailor the content based on what you guys say you want to know. And we're here for you. It's not just we decide what we're going to do, we do that thing.